Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Jonathan and I head up strategic marketing consultancy Propero. Thank you, Lucy, for your candid insights into the way that client relationships are changing in the industry. And that's really the central theme of this conference today, isn't it? Change. But what does change mean? More importantly, what does it look like? Now, I'm not going to talk to you about how you need to change the way that you run your firm, whether you should be thinking about your overseas strategy, outsourcing your support functions, or how to embrace the latest AI technology. There's a range of different topics being covered here today, from Lucy's insights to discussions about firm structure, harnessing talent, preparing your firm for the challenges ahead. But what I'm going to cover in this session is pretty fundamental. I'm going to talk to you about what you need to be doing now in order to attract the clients you need to pay the bills of the firm of 2025. And talking of attracting clients, by their own admission, most law firms aren't even currently getting this right. PwC identified that despite most law firms being aware of the importance of marketing and business development, rather worryingly, 67% of law firm leaders consider their firm's marketing and BD as weak or only just adequate. And according to Wolters Kluwer, a staggering 63% of professional service firms are failing to monitor the return on their marketing investment. So there's that. That's a good start, but don't worry, it gets worse actually. Look, we've seen a huge amount of change in the industry and the world in even the last couple of years. Now, I'm not going to stargaze or hypothesize or make up doomsday predictions for the fun of it. This isn't some kind of maybe not scenario, nor should it be regarded as such. No, what I'm talking about is stuff that's already happened, is already happening, and is going to filter into the legal industry faster and harder than you think. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm talking about tomorrow's client, the client of 2025. The client of tomorrow really is driving and will continue to drive a seismic shift in the industry. The way legal services are searched for, selected and consumed will continue to transform beyond all recognition. And most importantly, this is going to happen with or without you. So let me explain. Now, we already know that tomorrow's client is different. How do we know? Well, people far cleverer than you or I have been researching, monitoring and writing them up for decades. Who am I talking about? Well, I'm going to use this word sparingly, I promise. I'm talking about millennials. Now, when I started in business, the term millennials didn't exist. And when it first emerged, this is what millennials were. And this. But these folks are now in their mid-30s, and by 2025, they'll be in their mid-40s and beyond. So combine the change in these folks' desires with the change that they and others are ushering in, and you have that seismic shift that I talked about. They're already part of your junior workforce, and they're soon going to be your most important clients. And that's why my 3 non-negotiables for tomorrow's top firms are: 1. Accept the next generation of client. 2. Learn from the next generation. And 3. Build for the next generation of client. Okay, so let's take those 3 non-negotiables in turn then. 1. Accept the next generation of client. We all know that referrals, relationships and personal recommendations are key. As long as you don't mess up too bad, it's business as usual, right? Well, not anymore, and not in the future. Behaviour is shifting. And guess what? It's not just me that thinks this. You do too. PwC found that 86% of partners and functional heads in law firms cite changing client needs and changing client behaviours as the biggest threat to the business growth of their firms. And almost a fifth, 18%, cite it as extremely concerning. Now, for years you've been hearing about millennials in the workplace. what they want and what they don't want out of a job, what they need from you in order to give you the dedication that you want. But firms are failing to see that in the same way that employees are fundamentally changing, so too are clients. And it's true, lawyers aren't known for their willingness to adapt to change. I should know, I'm married to one. But you are going to have to if you want to ensure that you have the clients you need to support the firm of 2025. You know this already, that's why you're here. But how do you do it? That leads me on to my second non-negotiable. 2, learn from the next generation. And this is key. There's an overwhelming amount of information about what tomorrow's buyers of professional services are like. But for our clients and our audiences at Propero, we distill it down to 3 key things. First, tomorrow's client demands value for money more than ever before. Second, brand matters more than relationships. And thirdly, they expect to see you in the world they know and engage with. So, what do these mean for you and your firm, and what your firm fundamentally is in the marketplace? First then, value for money. What do we mean by that? Well, according to Forbes, 2/3 of tomorrow's clients will switch firms if they're offered a discount equivalent to 30% or more. Does that sound like loyalty to you? There's no loyalty for loyalty's sake anymore, which means they're less likely to commit to a one-size-fits-all advisor. They want specialists, and they're not going to be as loyal as your current clients. They're not going to be as loyal as today's clients. They're not going to pay your regular rates for the back office work. We've seen the rise of Riverview and others. These options are now easy to find and evaluate. A little tool called Google helps there. And changing client behaviour, remember that from a moment ago, means that they are happier to embrace a wider range of service providers, and even providers that they would never have considered or even heard of in the past. So for you, this means you need to have a solution for this value work. And that's for the other panels here today to talk about. But bigger than that, you need to have a well-defined value proposition for your whole firm, your reason for being and how you are different. And most importantly, and this is our specialty, you must clearly and consistently communicate it to your marketplace. We call this the 3 C's. What do I mean by clearly and consistently? Well, for clarity, ensure the messages that you push out are clear and written in plain English, free from jargon and language that's designed to daze and confuse. Because tomorrow's clients want to speak to people who can offer them business clarity. Now, once upon a time, jargon made the legal industry sound smart. But now, if what you're saying is not clear or doesn't explicitly clarify the role you play in solving a business problem, you can bet that they're not going to work with you. Why? Because it doesn't resonate. They'll move on because they can now. And on consistency, one quick warning here. Simply dipping your toes in the marketing pool isn't going to produce the kinds of results that will secure your place at the future table. Your efforts must be structured and strategized. This means not committing what I like to call random acts of marketing. In other words, resisting the urge to dabble occasionally, as it will prevent you from seeing any cumulative benefit. Brand, marketing and messaging will be an integral part of the law firm of 2025's day-to-day operations, and instrumental in its future growth, as we'll see. Second learning then, brand matters more than relationships. Firms have been thinking about their employer brands for years, how to preen themselves to attract the best talent. But to tomorrow's client, your law firm brand matters more than ever before, more than existing relationships. A lack of access to information meant that today and yesterday's client was keen to stick with known quantities, established relationships and so forth. But societal changes and increased ease of discovery means that if you put a foot wrong, or if for some reason their attention gets diverted, which, let's face it, does happen, then tomorrow's client can and will have 10 alternatives researched and contacted before you even know that something is up. Brand is how you prevent this. Your firm's brand is more than a sequence of surnames. According to eMarketer, 60% of tomorrow's clients feel an emotional connection to the brands that they work with and believe they are defined by those that they use. Think about that. The brands they work with define them as a person, a business owner, a board member, a decision maker. FMCG brands, by the way, figured this out 10 or 15 years ago. It started mattering to them then, just like it's going to start mattering to you soon. There's more to a brand than a badge or logo or a series of graphic marks. A brand is how your firm is perceived in the minds of your clients. It supports the relationships you build with them. It's what sets you apart from your competitors. Your brand directly supports your firm in ways that transcend simple decor, ways that have real financial implications for your firm. In practice, this means branding not only has the potential to make it easier for you to enter new markets and retain top talent, it also works to keep you front of mind, which means being invited to pitch when the time is right, and to secure trust and help you build long-term relationships, which means becoming the preferred supplier for a greater percentage of your market. Think about brand another way. You'll soon be competing for clients' time, attention and money in the same way that you're currently competing for talent. Why? Because talent is younger than clients. You see the changes there first. Right now, everyone wants to go and work for Uber. Well, maybe not Uber, Facebook or TransferWise. Tech companies are cutting edge, attractive, fast moving. Exactly what tomorrow's clients are going to want and more. So learn from the current struggle for talent before you get blindsided by the future struggle for your clients' attention. Existing relationships are less important to tomorrow's clients than today's and yesterday's. Why? Two things: choice and discovery, and social forces. Third, learning then. If you want tomorrow's clients to know and form an opinion about you, which you do, you need to go and find them in the world they know. I mean, you can laugh about how your kids or your grandkids have their noses in phones all the time, but this is what they know, this is what they're used to, this is what they have come to expect from the firms they trust. And these people, they are the ones setting the pace of your future. Change is being driven by tomorrow's client for tomorrow's client. Research from BIA Kelsey found that 97% of this group research professional service firms online before making a financial commitment. Whether that's the CEO looking for a firm to handle his company's investment round, or a board choosing which firms to add to their panel, often the material that precedes your conversation will have made up the client's mind before you even step foot in the door to pitch. In fact, Corporate Executive Board found that 57% of purchasing decisions occur before the buyer has even had a conversation with a service provider. Which means when you find yourself invited to pitch to tomorrow's client, they will already know a heck of a lot more about you than you think. What's clear here is that the client of tomorrow is buying on the basis of information they have gathered themselves. Often, this is words on a screen. These guys get their information from different places to you and I, from the irreverence of Legal Cheek and Roll on Friday to the thought leadership pieces, deal announcements and department profiles on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is now a major source of information. So, true story, for years we've asked job candidates in their interviews with us, where do you get your industry news? Now, almost every single candidate says LinkedIn. Now, there are and there will be other LinkedIns. That's not the point. Tomorrow's clients are buying and avoiding services on the basis of what they see in places they already go. They've been brought up with Google and therefore with choice. If they don't like what they see, or if what they find doesn't resonate with them, they're just a hop, skip and a jump from hundreds of other options and opinions. And what this means for your firm is what you put out there matters. It matters more than it did in the past and more than you probably realise. I'm talking about things like case studies with firms like them on deals like theirs. Even better, deal data, what's market, what's trending, information you have that's interesting and valuable to your clients, not just news about what you've done and what you think. To reach tomorrow's clients, you need to be where they are, and you need to be saying the right things. So that brings us to the last of our 3 non-negotiables: build for the next generation of client. So you've accepted that change is coming, you've learnt what you need to do, now you need to apply it. Get your value proposition right, and then clearly and consistently communicate it. The 3 C's. Get your brand right, and then clearly and consistently communicate it. And then be in the places tomorrow's clients already are. And you know what you do there? You clearly and consistently communicate your value proposition and brand values. So, if you take away one thing from today, let it be the understanding that tomorrow's client is different in subtle but fundamental ways. The way you reach them and what you say to them must therefore change. They are less loyal and more informed. Honestly, this shouldn't be news to you. I've just provided the research to back up what you already know. Now, you're here today because the responsibility lies with you to create an employer and client-facing brand that's absolutely magnetic. Whether that means speaking the language of tomorrow's clients, or using the tools and places that they go to network and make connections and decisions. Step outside of your comfort zone to get ready for the clients and the buying processes of tomorrow. Because if you don't, someone else will. We know that A&O has a big focus on using tech to address non-specialist volume work, just like we talked about earlier. We know that AI is a big part of Mishcon's plans. What these firms and your firms need to be doing now is to ensure that the brand, messaging and marketing is clearly and consistently communicating this new value to the marketplace in the places today's and tomorrow's clients are looking for information. Ultimately, it will be the legal services providers adjusting and adapting to change, the change that we're talking about today. It will be those firms who will dominate the market in 2025 and beyond.